Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the window of her quarters aboard the Galactic Assembly Station, watching the strange purple nebula that served as the backdrop for today's historic session. Her dark blue diplomatic uniform felt unusually heavy on her shoulders. In 6 hours, she would change the course of human history. Ambassador, the session begins in 30 minutes, her AI assistant chirped through the room's communication system. She turned away from the window, straightening her silver collar pins, the crossed olive branches that represented Earth's diplomatic corps. The symbols felt almost ironic today. The assembly chamber was a massive dome-shaped room with rising tiers of seats, each designated for one of the galaxy's 97 spacefaring species. As the newest members, humans sat in the outer ring. Chen made her way to Earth's modest podium, nodding politely to the various alien representatives she passed. The Exorian representative, with his crystalline exoskeleton glinting under the chamber lights, was already engaged in a heated debate with the leader of the collective delegation, a tall, ethereal being whose translucent skin pulsed with patterns of light. Their argument echoed through the chamber's universal translators. The collective's expansion into the Orion arm was a clear provocation. The Exorian's mechanical translator buzzed. We sought only to protect developing species from imperial influence. The collective leader's lights pulsed in response. Chen watched silently as more representatives joined the debate. The Mursk, cat-like beings known for their merchant fleets, argued for continued neutrality. The Zexal Confederation, with their hive mind consciousness, proposed another round of peace talks. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a stake, but no one seemed to have a solution. As the debate entered its 4th hour, Chen noticed something interesting. Neither the Exorians nor the collective understood what they were really fighting about. Their conflict had become a matter of ritual, of saving face, of ancient grudges neither side truly remembered. She checked her tablet one last time. The latest report from Earth's analysis team confirmed her suspicions. This war could go on for decades, destabilizing trade routes, endangering neutral worlds, and eventually threatening Earth's own colonies. The chair recognizes the representative from Earth, the Assembly's AI moderator announced. The chamber fell quiet. Humans rarely spoke at these sessions, preferring to observe and learn. Chen stood, her heart steady, her expression calm. Honored representatives, she began, her words automatically translated into hundreds of alien languages. For 3 years, humanity has watched and learned from this assembly. We've traded with you, shared knowledge with you, and grown to understand your ways. She paused, looking around the chamber. Some representatives shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused on her. We've also studied your conflict. We've analyzed the strategic, economic, and social impacts. We've calculated the cost in resources and lives, and we've made a decision that may surprise you. The chamber grew even quieter. Chen could hear the soft hum of environmental systems, maintaining different atmospheric conditions for various species. Humanity has chosen to be neutral no longer. We are joining this war. The reaction was immediate. The Mursk representative's fur stood on end. The Zexal delegation buzzed in collective shock. The Exorian's crystal structure changed color rapidly. But, Chen continued before anyone could interrupt, we are not joining in the way you might expect. We have our own approach, and after today, this conflict will never be the same. She sat down calmly as chaos erupted in the chamber. Messages flew between delegations. Urgent communications were sent to home worlds. The Assembly's AI moderators struggled to maintain order. And Sarah Chen waited patiently, knowing that this was just the beginning. Humanity was about to show the galaxy a whole new way of resolving conflicts, one that none of them would see coming. Admiral James Martinez stood on the bridge of the Earth Fleet Command Center, watching dozens of holographic ships moving through the training exercises. His gray-streaked hair and the wrinkles around his eyes showed years of experience, but there was a new energy in his step today. Status report on fleet preparation protocol. He asked his second-in-command, Captain Sarah Wong. 78% complete, sir. All ships are being equipped with the new stealth systems. The crew training programs are running ahead of schedule. The Admiral nodded, studying the largest hologram. A map of known space with the territories of the Axorian Empire marked in red and the collective worlds in blue. Earth and its colonies were tiny green dots scattered between the two giants. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Chen was facing a very different kind of challenge. The Mursk representative, Senior Merchant Tuklaw, had cornered her after the emergency session. "Your announcement has caused great concern," Tuklaw said, whiskers twitching nervously. "The trading routes between systems will be affected. Many species depend on these routes." Chen smiled diplomatically. "Actually, we have a plan for that. Would you be interested in hearing about our proposed safe passage corridors?" Across the station, in a quiet observation deck, Zixtel, the representative from the ancient Zexel Confederation, was doing something unprecedented, studying human history. The holographic display showed scenes from Earth's past, trade routes, diplomatic meetings, and how humans resolved conflicts. "Fascinating," Zixtel mumbled, their crystalline form glowing with interest. "They negotiate even while preparing for action. Both paths always open." Back on Earth, in the Singapore Global Strategy Center, teams of analysts worked around the clock. Dr. Emily Chen, no relation to the ambassador, led the cultural integration team. "The key is understanding how both sides think," she explained to her international team. "The Axorians value order above all else. The collective prizes unity. We need to show them a third way." In the Axorian Empire's capital, High Commander Kex stood before the Imperial Council, their crystalline body pulsing with concerned colors. "These humans," Kex reported, "their ships are smaller than ours, their weapons less powerful, their technology less advanced. But," they paused, their colors shifting to a worried purple, "they think differently. They don't follow any pattern we understand." The council chambers erupted in discussion. One elder crystal flashed patterns of dismissal. "They are young, barely space-capable. What could they possibly do?" "That's exactly what makes them dangerous," Kex responded. "They're unpredictable." Meanwhile, Ambassador Chen was making her way to her final meeting of the day. Her AI assistant floated beside her, projecting the latest updates. "Earth fleet reports ready in 3 weeks," it whispered. "Cultural integration teams have completed first-phase analysis. Diplomatic corps standing by on all major worlds." Chen nodded, entering a small conference room where representatives from 15 neutral species waited. These were the smaller powers, the ones often forgotten in the grand schemes of empires. "Thank you for coming," she began. "Earth has a proposal that could protect your interests during this transition. We call it the Neutral Systems Protection Initiative." As she spoke, displays lit up showing trade routes, defense plans, and economic projections. The room grew quiet as the smaller species representatives realized something unprecedented. Humans weren't just entering the war, they were rewriting the rules of how galactic politics worked. In Earth's orbit, the first ships of the new fleet were already testing their systems. They didn't look impressive compared to the massive Axorian dreadnoughts or the elegant collective vessels. But appearances could be deceiving, something the galaxy was about to learn. Commander Krell of the Axorian Empire sat in his study chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's historical texts. His crystalline form sparkled with colors of fascination as he read through translations of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. "Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting," he read aloud, his translation crystal humming with effort. "How unusual." A message alert interrupted his studies. The human fleet had been spotted, but not where anyone expected. Instead of joining the collective's main forces, they were operating in small groups, appearing and disappearing near supply routes and communication centers. In the command center of the Earth ship Magellan, Captain Maria Santos watched her crew work with quiet efficiency. The ship's new stealth systems, combined with techniques borrowed from Earth's old submarine warfare, made them nearly invisible to Axorian sensors. "Status report," she called out. "All systems nominal, Captain," Lieutenant Chen replied. "The Axorian patrol ships haven't detected us. We're recording all their communication patterns as planned." Meanwhile, aboard the Collective's flagship, Unity, Admiral Zarthal was experiencing something new: frustration. The human ships refuse to follow the Collective's carefully planned battle formations. Why do they not maintain proper alignment? Zarthal's bioluminescent form pulsed with annoyance. How can we coordinate if they keep changing positions? Their aide, a junior officer named Pelix, brought up a historical analysis. "It appears, Admiral, that humans prefer flexible responses. They adapt their strategies based on immediate circumstances rather than following preset patterns." Back in the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Chen was meeting with representatives from both sides. The meeting room's environmental controls worked overtime to accommodate the crystalline Axorians and the bioluminescent Collective members. "We understand our methods seem strange to you," Chen explained, her calm voice carrying through the universal translators. "But consider this: in nature, the most successful species are often those that can adapt quickly." The Axorian representative's crystal structure flickered with confusion. "But where is the order? The proper sequence?" "Sometimes," Chen smiled, "the best order is found in apparent chaos." In Earth's Strategic Command, Dr. Emily Chen's cultural integration team had made a breakthrough. They discovered why the traditional galactic powers found human tactics so confusing. "Look at this," she pointed to a comparison display. "Both the Axorians and Collective evolved on worlds with very stable conditions. Their strategies are based on predictability. But Earth..." Her team looked at images of Earth's varied environments: deserts, oceans, mountains, and forests. "We evolved having to adapt to constant change. That's our strength." Meanwhile, a small human ship named Curiosity was demonstrating this advantage. Captain James Wong had his crew studying Axorian communication patterns, learning to predict their movements based on their rigid protocols. "They always follow the same procedures," he explained to his crew. "That makes them efficient, but also predictable." His science officer finished with a smile. In the Axorian War College, Commander Krell had moved from Sun Tzu to studying other Earth military histories. His fellow officers thought he was wasting time, but he saw something they missed. "Humans don't think like us," he tried to explain to the college council. "They see opportunities where we see obstacles. They find paths where we see barriers. And most importantly," he paused, his crystal form glowing with intensity, "they learn from every experience." As if proving his point, human ships were already adapting to use modified versions of both Axorian and Collective technologies, combining them in ways neither side had considered. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or their strategies. It was their ability to look at the same situation as everyone else and see something completely different. Dr. Zelix of the Collective Science Division stared at the medical data on her screens with growing amazement. Her bioluminescent patterns shifted rapidly as she reviewed the latest findings about human physiology. "This can't be right," she muttered, her translator converting her light patterns into speech. "Computer, verify these endurance readings again." In the testing chamber below, a human crew member named David Chen was completing his 24th hour of continuous operation in a high-gravity environment. He looked tired but continued his tasks with steady determination. "How are they doing this?" Zelix's assistant asked, watching through the observation window. "It's their evolutionary history," Zelix explained, bringing up Earth's historical data. "Their planet's varying conditions forced them to adapt to almost anything. They're persistence hunters, designed to keep going long after other species would need rest." Aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel Peace Seeker, Ambassador Chen was having tea with representatives from 3 previously neutral species. The ship's lounge had been carefully designed to feel informal while still maintaining diplomatic protocol. "The thing about humans," Chen explained. Pouring tea in the Earth custom that had fascinated many alien species is that we're used to making friends in unexpected places. On Earth, we have a saying. There are no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. The Mersk representative, Claw, twitched his whiskers thoughtfully. Your species treats diplomacy very personally. Because it is personal, Chen smiled, offering him a cup. Every relationship, whether between individuals or civilizations, begins with simple moments like this. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the human ship Endurance was demonstrating another unique human trait. The ship had been operating in a dust cloud that interfered with most advanced technology, forcing them to rely on more basic methods. Captain Maya Rodriguez watched her crew adapt to the challenging conditions with pride. While other species' ships avoided such regions, her crew treated it as just another problem to solve. Status report, she called out. Navigation systems adapting, Captain, Lieutenant Park replied. We're using old-style stellar navigation combined with new sensor data. It's not pretty, but it's working. Back in the Collective Science Division, Dr. Zelix had made another discovery. She was reviewing footage of human crews during their rest periods. Look at this, she pointed out to her team. They use their downtime for social bonding, sharing stories, even simulated combat training they call games. They're constantly learning, even when resting. In the Axorian Empire's Strategic Command, Commander Krell was sharing his own observations with the High Council. His crystal form pulsed with excited colors as he presented his findings. The humans don't just endure hardship, he explained. They learn from it. Each challenge makes them stronger, more adaptable. And most importantly, they share these adaptations with each other. The council chambers filled with concerned murmurs. One elder crystal flashed patterns of worry. You mean they're still evolving their strategies? Exactly, Krell confirmed. Every encounter teaches them something new. On Earth, at the Global Strategy Center, Dr. Emily Chen was reviewing data from all human ships and diplomatic missions. Her team had noticed a pattern. Look here, she pointed to a series of reports. Every time we face a new challenge, our crews don't just overcome it. They find ways to use it to their advantage. Her assistant nodded, adding another report to the collection. It's like we're turning every obstacle into an opportunity. That's our greatest strength, Emily smiled. Not our technology or our tactics, but our ability to adapt and grow stronger from every challenge. Across the galaxy, both the Collective and the Axorian Empire were beginning to realize a crucial truth. The humans weren't just participants in this conflict. They were evolving with it, turning every limitation into a new kind of advantage. The emergency alert echoed through the halls of Earth's diplomatic court headquarters. Ambassador Chen rushed into the crisis room, where holographic displays showed a concerning situation developing near the human colony of New Eden. Status report, she demanded, her usually calm demeanor tense with concern. The Axorian Empire has deployed their stellar manipulator near New Eden, her aide reported. It's a device capable of causing intense solar storms. Chen's expression remained composed, but her eyes showed deep determination. Get me a direct line to the Galactic Assembly, and contact Admiral Martinez. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Martinez was already mobilizing the fleet. The massive view screens of the command center displayed hundreds of ships moving into formation. All ships will use Protocol Omega, he announced to his commanders. Remember our training. Steady and precise, just as we practiced. Meanwhile, in the Axorian High Command, Commander Krell was trying desperately to reason with his superiors. His crystalline form pulsed with urgent colors. The humans will not react like other species, he warned. Their historical records show they become extremely protective of their colonies. This action will have unexpected consequences. The High Commander's crystal structure flickered dismissively. They are too young a species to challenge our decision. In the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Chen stood at the podium, her voice steady and clear. The chamber was packed with representatives from every spacefaring race. The stellar manipulator threatens not just our colony, but the stability of that entire sector, she explained. We request its immediate withdrawal. The Exorian representative's crystal structure glowed with defiance. The device is within our territory. We have the right. Chen's response was calm but firm. Then you leave us no choice but to demonstrate our own capabilities. In deep space, the human fleet was executing a carefully planned maneuver. Captain Sarah Wong of the Starship Innovation led a group of vessels equipped with new technology developed by studying both Exorian and collective systems. All ships activate the resonance fields, she ordered. The human ships began emitting precise energy patterns that interfered with the stellar manipulator's control systems. Dr. Emily Chen, watching from Earth's strategic command, nodded in approval. We're not destroying their device, she explained to her team. We're simply making it impossible to use safely. This is a very human solution. The collective's observers were amazed. Their senior analyst, Zarlak, reported to his superiors. The humans have found a way to neutralize the Empire's most powerful technology without causing any damage. This is unprecedented. In the Galactic Assembly, the reaction was immediate. Species that had remained neutral began sending messages of support to the human delegation. The Mursk representative, T'Klaw, spoke up. The humans have shown wisdom. They had the power to respond with force, but chose a peaceful solution. Ambassador Chen addressed the assembly again. We understand the Empire's concerns about their territory. We propose a neutral zone, jointly monitored by all species, to prevent future misunderstandings. Commander Krell, watching from the Exorian section, felt his crystal structure resonating with respect. They turned our challenge into an opportunity for cooperation, he noted to his aide. This is why they are so different. The stellar manipulator was withdrawn within hours. The Exorian Empire, faced with growing diplomatic pressure and unable to use their device effectively, had no choice. That evening, in her private office, Ambassador Chen received messages from dozens of species requesting diplomatic talks. Many had realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their determination, but their ability to find solutions that benefited everyone. Sometimes, she told her aide, the best way to win is to help your opponent save face while achieving your goals. That's a lesson as old as human diplomacy itself. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez of the Earth ship Compassion stood on the bridge, staring at an unusual sensor reading. Her ship was patrolling a quiet sector when they detected a distress signal from an Exorian civilian transport. Captain, she called out, the transport's environmental systems are failing. They have 200 civilians aboard. Captain James Chen didn't hesitate. Standard rescue protocol. Alert medical to prepare for crystal-based life forms. The rescue wasn't in their mission plans, but as the crew would later explain to confused Exorian officials, helping those in need was a fundamental human instinct. Meanwhile, in a small space station bar called the Neutral Zone, Junior Diplomat Tom Patul was having what seemed like a casual conversation with various alien species. The bar had become popular among off-duty crew members from all sides of the conflict. You know what's interesting about Earth games? Tom explained to his fascinated audience, which included both Exorian and collective members. Many of them teach us to think from our opponent's perspective. A young Exorian crystal formation pulsed with curiosity. Is that why humans are so unpredictable? You try to think like others. Partly, Tom smiled, sipping his drink. We believe understanding others helps prevent conflicts. Back on Earth, Dr. Emily Chen was reviewing reports of similar unofficial interactions happening throughout the galaxy. Her cultural integration team had noticed something remarkable. Look at this pattern. She pointed to a holographic display. Everywhere humans go, they're creating informal networks of communication. It's not just official diplomatic channels anymore. Her assistant nodded. The aliens are fascinated by how we mix formal and informal interactions. They've never seen anything like it. In the Galactic Assembly, Ambassador Chen was meeting with the collective's representative about an unexpected development. Several collective worlds had requested human cultural advisors. Your species has a unique way of building relationships, the collective representative's bioluminescence pulsed thoughtfully. You are formal when needed, yet personal when possible. That's because we understand something important, Chen replied. Real peace isn't built in assembly chambers alone. It's built in everyday interactions between different peoples. On the Axorian homeworld, Commander Krell was giving a presentation to young officer candidates. His crystal form glowed with enthusiasm as he shared his observations about humans. Their strength isn't in their technology or their strategies, he explained. It's in their ability to connect with others. They turn enemies into friends without anyone quite realizing how it happened. The lecture hall filled with the shimmer of crystalline beings processing this new information. Aboard the Compassion, the rescued Axorian civilians were amazed by human hospitality. The crew had quickly adapted spare quarters to match Axorian environmental needs and even programmed the food synthesizers to create crystal-compatible nutrients. You treat us like your own people, one Axorian elder observed to Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's medical officer. Because that's what you are to us now, she replied simply. Just people who needed help. This incident would later be cited in thousands of diplomatic reports as a turning point in human-Axorian relations. In the neutral zone bar, Tom's casual conversations had led to something unexpected. Both Axorian and collective officers began sharing stories about their own worlds, finding common ground in their experiences. Humans have this gift, the bar's alien owner told his patrons. They make you feel like differences aren't barriers, they're opportunities to learn from each other. Dr. Chen's team had a name for this phenomenon, the human factor. It wasn't about military strength or diplomatic protocols. It was about humanity's unique ability to create connections anywhere, turning every interaction into an opportunity for understanding. As Ambassador Chen would later write in her memoirs, our greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't our technology or our strategies. It was teaching others that differences don't have to divide us. They can bring us together instead. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the preparation room of the Galactic Assembly's Grand Chamber, reviewing her notes one final time. Today's session would change the course of galactic history. Are you ready, Ambassador? Her eye assistant asked, projecting the latest updates in front of her. More than ready, Chen smiled. We've been preparing for this moment since day one. The Grand Chamber was packed with representatives from every spacefaring species. The massive dome above showed the swirling colors of the Purple Nebula, a reminder of how far humanity had come since their first assembly session. High Commander Kex of the Axorian Empire and Supreme Coordinators Zarthal of the Collective sat at the main table. Both leaders had agreed to this unprecedented joint session after months of careful preparation by human diplomats. The human delegation has prepared a comprehensive peace proposal, the Assembly's AI moderator announced. Ambassador Chen, you may proceed. Chen walked to the central podium, her blue diplomatic uniform catching the light. Honored representatives, what I'm about to present isn't just a peace treaty. It's a new way of thinking about galactic cooperation. The holographic displays activated, showing a complex network of trade routes, cultural exchange programs, and joint scientific missions. Instead of trying to separate our civilizations, Chen continued, we propose bringing them closer together. The more we understand each other, the less likely we are to fight. In Earth's Strategic Command, Dr. Emily Chen and her team watched the broadcast while monitoring reactions across the galaxy. Their screens showed increasing communication activity between various worlds. Look at these response patterns, her assistant pointed out. Species that haven't talked to each other in centuries are opening diplomatic channels. Ambassador Chen moved to the next part of the proposal. We suggest creating mixed culture zones, spaces where different species can live and work together. The first such zone will be established in the former conflict region near New Eden. The collective's Supreme Coordinator's bioluminescence pulsed with interest. You want us to share territory. We want everyone to have a stake in maintaining peace, Chen explained. When prosperity is shared, everyone benefits. Commander Krell, now serving as the Axorian Empire's chief diplomatic advisor, felt his crystal structure resonating with approval. The humans had done something remarkable. They'd found a way for both sides to move forward without losing face. The mixed culture zones will be governed by representatives from all participating species, Chen continued. No single power will control them. They'll be places of learning, trade, and cooperation. The chamber buzzed with discussion. The Mursk delegation was particularly excited about the trade possibilities. The Zexil Confederation saw opportunities for scientific collaboration. In the neutral zone bar, now officially recognized as a diplomatic success story, beings from dozens of species watched the broadcast. Tom Patel, recently promoted to senior diplomat, smiled as he heard excited conversations in multiple languages. Back in the Grand Chamber, Chen revealed the final part of the proposal. We're also establishing the Galactic Cultural Exchange Program. Every species will share their knowledge, art, and technology freely within the program. High Commander Kex's crystal structure shimmered thoughtfully. You're not just ending the war. You're making sure it never happens again. Exactly, Chen nodded. The best defense against conflict is understanding. When we know each other as people, not just as species, everything changes. As the session continued, messages poured in from worlds across the galaxy. Species that had stayed neutral were now asking to join the new initiatives. Ancient rivals were requesting joint participation in the Cultural Exchange Program. Dr. Emily Chen, watching from Earth, summed it up perfectly to her team. We didn't just stop a war. We're starting a new age of galactic cooperation.